What is JavaScript variable shadowing and its unintended effects? Imagine you're working on a web project and suddenly find that a variable isn't behaving as expected. It turns out you might be facing a common JavaScript issue called variable shadowing. Let's explore what it is and how it can cause surprises in your code. Variable shadowing happens when a variable declared inside a function or block has the same name as a variable outside that scope. The inner variable temporarily hides or shadows the outer one. So, when you refer to that variable name inside the inner scope, you're actually accessing the inner variable, not the outer one. This can be confusing if you expect to modify or read the outer variable but end up working with the inner one instead. JavaScript has different types of scopes: global scope, function scope, and block scope. Variables declared with the keyword var are scoped to the function they are in. If you declare a variable with the same name inside a function, it shadows the global variable. Variables declared with let or const are limited to the block they are in, like inside an if statement or a loop. If you declare a variable with the same name in an inner block, it shadows the outer variable only within that block. For example, if you have a global variable called count set to 10, and inside a function you declare let count is equal to 20, then inside that function, count refers to 20. Outside the function, count remains 10. This can cause bugs if you think you're changing the outer count but are actually only changing the inner one. Unintended effects of shadowing often happen when developers expect to update the outer variable but end up working with a new inner variable. This leads to confusion about which variable is being used, especially in complex functions or asynchronous code. For instance, in callbacks or closures, shadowing can cause variables to hold unexpected values, making bugs tricky to find. Another issue is that changes to the inner variable don't affect the outer one. So, if you meant to update a global counter but accidentally declared a new variable inside a function, your counter won't increase as expected. This can cause logic errors that are hard to spot because the variable's value seems correct at first glance. Shadowing also impacts memory and variable lifecycle. Variables declared inside inner scopes exist only during that scope's execution. If you thought you were updating an outer variable, but you only changed the inner one, your intended updates won't be reflected outside. This can be especially confusing when working with asynchronous functions like timers or promise chains, where variables are captured in closures. To prevent these unintended effects, it's best to choose clear, distinct names for variables in different scopes. Using let and const instead of var helps limit scope and reduces accidental shadowing. Be cautious when declaring variables inside nested functions or blocks that share names with outer variables. Additionally, tools like code linters can warn you when shadowed variables are detected, helping you catch issues early. Understanding how scope and variable shadowing work in JavaScript is key to writing predictable, bug-free code. When you're working with functions and asynchronous operations, keeping track of which variable is which can save you time and frustration. Remember, clear naming and mindful declarations are your best tools to avoid shadowing surprises and keep your code running smoothly.